These sea creatures aren't just venomous and predatory, they can also be super expensive to deal with. While being stung by a box jellyfish might not always be fatal, the complications could set you back up to $20,000. And when you get bitten by a sea snake, you're looking at up to $3,000 just for one vial of antivenom. And let's not forget about the searing pain caused by bites and stings from these sea terrors. That's why when you see a man-o-war or even a sea urchin, you should probably save yourself and your wallet and swim far, far away. The Portuguese man-o-war is a siphonophore and a species closely related to the jellyfish. These dangerous sea creatures sometimes float in groups of 1,000 or more, and if you're unlucky enough to get caught up in its tentacles, you are in for some serious pain. A man-o-war's tentacles can be 30 feet long, and there are even occasions of them being more than 100 feet long. They contain stinging nematocysts, which are little capsules loaded with barbed tubes that deliver the venom. This venom is paralytic and fatal to fish and crustaceans, but thankfully, a fatal sting on a human is rare. They do, however, cause painful welts, swelling, and in some cases, headaches, nausea, and trouble breathing. The pain can last 2 or 3 days after being stung. The best and most common treatment for a man-o-war sting is actually not expensive. Simply apply vinegar or ammonia to the infected area, and use shaving cream and a razor to get rid of any extra nematocysts. Then you can apply heat or hydrocortisone to the area. So all in all, it's a painful experience, but you can treat yourself with about $20 and access to the internet. A stingray sting can result in some high hospital bills and days of intensive care. The stingray may be something we often swim with, but if you remember, Steve Irwin tragically lost his life to one of these seemingly harmless sea creatures. The stingray has a large tail-like barb on the back of its body. Being punctured by this barb can result in heavy bleeding, difficulty breathing, dizziness, nausea, and even losing consciousness. Any person stung should immediately remove the venomous spines, unless they are in the neck, chest, or abdomen, in which case emergency medical attention is absolutely necessary. Fortunately, stingrays rarely attack unless provoked or disturbed. The most common cause of an attack is from people accidentally stepping on them. A stingray sting could put you in the hospital with a serious infection, and sometimes the barbs have to be removed in the hospital because of the risk of bleeding out. The cost for antibiotics and a 3-day hospital stay in serious cases can cost more than $30,000 in hospital bills, a hefty price to pay for swimming with the rays. The blue-ringed octopus is flashy for a reason. It may look like an innocent creature that roams the ocean floor, but in reality, its venom is 1,000 times more powerful than cyanide. It also has enough venom in its little body to take out 26 humans within minutes. The blue-ringed octopus produces a neurotoxin called tetrodotoxin, which is also found in pufferfish. The venom blocks nerve signals throughout the body and can cause muscle numbness as well as vision loss, nausea, and loss of senses and motor skills. These symptoms lead to muscle paralysis, which can stop you from breathing and lead to severe respiratory distress. The sting of a blue-ringed octopus has no antivenom. An encounter with one often lands patients in the ER, and they have to be put on ventilators immediately. The average ICU cost for a ventilated patient is $2,300 per day, and that cost rises to more than $3,900 per day after the 4th day of care. So being a little too interested in one of these psychedelic blue creatures could cost you tens of thousands of dollars, or worse, your life. Assuming that venomous snakes are only a land problem is very, very wrong. In fact, some of the most venomous snakes are sea snakes, like the elusive banded sea crayet. Though sea crayets reproduce and often eat on land, they're a lot faster in the water, and their neurotoxic venom is actually 10 times more powerful than a rattlesnake. They're pretty docile animals, but any diver or fisherman who accidentally handles a sea crayet is in for a world of pain. Their venom often causes severe muscle and joint aches, blurry vision, vomiting, and even paralysis. But what can be so disarming is that the bites are usually not painful at first. Pain sometimes only starts 3 hours later. If you've been injected with the venom, then antivenom is usually the only way to survive. A vial of antivenom for one of these bites can cost $3,000 out of pocket and can be very difficult to find, since sea crayet bites are pretty rare. But there is a chance that a small bite won't always inject venom. If that's the case, a bite from a sea crayet may result in nothing more than a puncture wound and probably a lot of anxiety. The stonefish wins the award for the world's most venomous fish. They inject a venom that can end the life of an adult in under an hour. And because stonefish are so good at camouflage, most victims never even see them coming. Getting stung by a stonefish results in pain and bleeding at first, and then the pain will usually spread to the rest of the limb. There will be swelling, and the symptoms can get as severe as difficulty breathing, seizures, fever accompanied by infection, and even paralysis. But there is hope for recovery from a serious reaction to their venom. A vial of anti-venom can be purchased, and most hospitals where stonefish attacks are common will have some on hand. However, one single vial runs for as much as $2,300. And if you're stung multiple times, you'll need multiple vials. For 1 or 2 punctures, the dose is 1 vial. For 3 to 4 punctures, the dose is 2 vials. And for 5 or more punctures, the dose is 3 vials. Even after the antivenom is given, the discomfort, numbness, and tingling may last for several weeks. The flower sea urchin is the most dangerous of all sea urchins. But weirdly enough, it's not the sea urchin's spines that are dangerous. It's the pedicellariae, which look like tiny flowers that really hurt. These mechanisms are like tiny toxic claws and can cause severe pain similar to a jellyfish sting, as well as slurred speech, difficulty breathing, weakness, and numbness of the tongue, lips, and eyelids. You can only really see the damage a sting has caused once the inflammation starts to recede. It may be that the spines went in too deep, or that they are causing nerve or joint damage that may eventually require physical therapy. You can soak the wound in hot water and use tweezers to remove the shallow spines. But if you end up in a hospital because you need to have the deeper spines surgically removed, you could be looking at a $10,000 hospital bill, or $18,000 if you end up with sepsis from the whole ordeal. The crown of thorns starfish is one of the most sinister sea stars in the world. Those spines it gets its name from are incredibly dangerous, and even just being stung on the finger can result in hefty hospital bills or worse. These starfish can be anywhere between 1 and 3 feet in diameter and have between 13 and 16 sharp spines. When these venomous spines puncture the skin, they cause severe bleeding, pain, swelling, and in some cases, fever, nausea, and headaches. Like with sea urchins, sometimes the spines have to be removed surgically. A 6-centimeter long spine can break off in the body, leading to sepsis and prolonged pain. What's worse is that the infection can be hard to get rid of and can come back multiple times. Imagine an $18,000 hospital bill that could be repeated 2 or even 3 times more. Thankfully, these starfish don't aim to attack humans, so watching where you walk can save you from a world of pain and expensive medical bills. The nematocysts covering the tentacles of the box jellyfish are like little poison darts, but they can land you in the hospital with an irregular heartbeat or paralysis, and in some cases, the sting of a box jellyfish can be extremely fatal. The Australian box jellyfish is the most dangerous marine animal. Unlike other species of jellyfish, these guys don't just float, they can actually swim at speeds of up to 4 knots. They also have very strong eyes on the sides of the body, making researchers believe that they hunt their prey instead of waiting for it to come to them. If you're unlucky enough to get caught up in its tentacles, the box jellyfish sting can cause burning pain in the skin, muscles, and nerves, and have lasting effects on the immune system. And since their venom is neurotoxic, they can cause severe respiratory distress. Because of this, the most common cause of someone ending up in the hospital from a box jellyfish sting is cardiac arrest. A trip to the ER for cardiac arrest and the following days of treatment can run up to $20,000 on your hospital bill. The weaverfish is small, but those long needle-sharp spines inject powerful, painful venom into its unsuspecting victims. Those victims are usually unaware swimmers and beachgoers, since the weaverfish lurks in very shallow water and usually comes out right before and after low tide. And since they love hiding in the sand, most people just think they stepped on something sharp until the pain kicks in 5 minutes later. The most common symptoms range from nausea, headaches, and itching, all the way to low blood pressure, fainting, tremors, seizures, fever, and of course, severe pain and swelling. Most people will avoid going to the hospital and treat the condition by soaking the infected area in hot water for half an hour, and then carefully removing all of the remaining spines. The pain tends to reach its peak after 30 minutes and then will slowly decrease. But the biggest problem with the weaverfish, besides the searing pain, is the possibility of anaphylactic shock. Keeping an EpiPen on you in case of emergencies is expensive enough, about $700 for an adult dosage. But ending up in the hospital with a serious allergic reaction can cost about $1,000. There are multiple species of the dangerously deceptive nudibranch, but one species called the elid are hiding a unique secret weapon. An elid has tentacle-like outgrowths called cerata that allow them to steal venom from other underwater creatures. After the nudibranch eats the tentacles of a stinging animal like a jellyfish or a coral, the stolen stinging cells pass through the digestive gland and wind up in the cnidosacs under the nudibranch's body. Here they can be stored until they're needed for the nudibranch to defend itself. When you get stung by one of these sea slugs, you can't be entirely sure what creature the venom came from. Thankfully, the venom isn't as powerful as right from the source, but since nudibranches can steal venom from very dangerous creatures like the man-o'-war, getting stung by one can result in headaches, nausea, and of course, searing pain. Non-serious cases can be treated in much the same way as a normal jellyfish sting, with about $20 worth of vinegar, shaving cream, and a razor to get rid of the extra nematocysts. But if you end up having an allergic reaction to one of these stings, you could end up paying $1,000 to treat anaphylactic shock. Are you scared to get in the water yet? Let us know in the comments which of these sea terrors you would least want to get stung by.
Like this video and hit the subscribe button.